qualified. Coming in unqualified to find time for you. 7 times a 70.
Recorded live from the Engine Room in Broad Ripple, this is the Voices of Indy livestream hosted by Josh Gillespie. Voices of Indy is a show dedicated to giving you the opportunity to know the musical, visual, and theatrical arts of Indianapolis, Indiana. This week's guest is local legend and the amazingly talented Joshua Powell. Today's episode is sponsored by Indianapolis Independent Entertainment. IIE LLC's goal is to help grow local DIY artists, freelancers, and businesses within Indianapolis and generate more paying creative opportunities. Their mission is simple: to establish a network of creatives who excel in areas of need and connecting them with other network members. This way they can help to expand the local art and music scenes. IIE believes that by eliminating some of the intimidating barriers within the entertainment industry, more opportunities will be produced for local freelancers and businesses. This will help Indianapolis become the place to go for art and music in the Midwest. If you are interested in learning more, go to their website at www.indyent.com. That's INDYINDIEENT.com and fill out a free application to discuss how you and IIE can redefine making it together. Mr. Powell.
Howdy.
It's probably your dad.
My dad's Dr. Powell.
Dr. Powell, okay.
So.
Can I call you Josh? Or is it Joshua?
Joshua is the name I go by because of how many other people are called Josh. And
Like me.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, my freshman dorm, there was like 6 people on our floor. So I decided that Joshua was the thing. But I won't even notice if you don't do it. And
I will call you Josh. I will respect your wishes, and I will call you Joshua.
Cheers.
Thank you for being on the show this week.
It's my pleasure.
This is an awesome experience to be able to have someone like you on this show. I am personally honored, so I will get that out of the way.
Cool, man. Thank you. That's fucking super nice of you.
I have to believe. I always ask this of my guests because typically not everyone knows who they are, but I feel like people know who Joshua Powell is. But for those who may not,
Yeah.
who is Joshua Powell? What do people not know about you?
Joshua Powell's the front man for Indiana's most haunted rock band, the Exhausted Wizard at the helm. Oh man, I've been in Indy for like 8 years. I've been doing this band for a little over 10 years. It's been a shapeshifter over the years. We were super duper folky boys for a long ass time and sort of carved out an Americana niche. And then I didn't want to live there, and so we've moved into all these other spaces over the years. And there's always like a little bit of worry about like, oh, are we gonna like alienate all of the fans that we've made? And it's like, maybe we might alienate some of them, but we don't have that many that it's gonna make a difference where I'm like gonna stop trying to grow the band or anything. So it's really interesting to have been being a band for 10 years. I talk to people all the time. They're like, oh man, I really love your rocky stuff. And other people are like, I really love this stuff. And I'm like, well, good thing I made all of it then.
Yeah,
and,
right?
So I don't know. There's I don't know. I'm trying to think about other like foundational stuff. The band is Jacob Powell, my brother, on drums, Adam Shuntich on lead guitar, Josh Townsend on bass. Those fellas and I sort of coalesced together as the band around COVID time. After 10 years of there's been about 30 people that have played with me in that time because I tour like a shark. And it makes people tired, and it makes people realize that they don't like me as much as they did prior when they were just following me on Twitter.
Sure.
No, I'm just kidding. But it's like, it's a ruthless lifestyle. Like, it wears people out. It's like dog years, road dog years, So, I don't know. We're not touring as heavily as we used to. It's a big part of who we are because we're rambling. We have, a lot of places in our heart. We've done over 900 shows in 42 states.
Wow.
4 countries.
Wow.
And, over that time, we put out like 5 full-length records, 4 EPs. We signed to Romanus Records 2 years ago, which is like a touchstone moment in my life. And
I want to talk about that at some point because you have some exciting stuff coming out.
Oh, yeah.
That I definitely want to be talking about. You've been promoting it like crazy on Instagram.
Ah, yes. Thanks for noticing.
It's some really cool shit that you have going down
Thank
right
you.
now.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, well, actually, we'll just get right into it
Sure.
because this is exciting stuff. So you were with Romanus,
Mm-hmm.
and you have re-released
Yes.
a song that was on Psycho. Is it Tropic?
Psychotropic.
Psychotropic.
Yeah.
Okay. So off of Psychotropic, um, and you re-released it as an acoustic track.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. Why you decided to do that?
Yeah.
And how that plays into the album release that you are doing here soon.
Happily. So I don't recall what the other context was, what we were doing as a band, but the boys were over at the house, and we were hanging in the kitchen with acoustic instruments, post-rehearsal or post-session or something else, and Adam had just gone and visited his folks in Northeast Ohio, and when he was there, he found in the basement of his parents' house this incredible antique resonator guitar. Just sounded badass, just super cool, and he had it reworked and set up, and it just sounded so sick. So he was playing with it, and I had my acoustic. We started jamming, and our most recent album, Skeleton Party, it's more of a psychedelic progressive rock affair.
Fantastic album, by the way.
Thank you.
I love that album.
Thank you so much. That's like my favorite because it's the newest one, right?
Of course,
yeah.
Your newest songs are always your favorite songs.
Exactly. But we'd been on that album cycle promoting Skeleton Party for quite a while and touring on it. And then Adam started playing something on the resonator from the old stuff, and it sounded real cool. It just sounded real different. So we sat there and we ended up jamming in the kitchen, just drinking beers, playing our own tunes that we hadn't played in a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And it really made us realize. So I had this talk with a dude when I was just a fresh-faced college kid trying to start bands, and he told me after seeing me play solo, don't start a band because then you will rely on the other parts of the band to make your songs good. And right now the songs are really good just as they stand. And so I didn't for a long time. But that was bad advice that stopped me from growing musically. And
Yeah.
when I learned how to collaborate and harmonize with each other, texturally and like metaphorically as well as literally being in a band became awesome. But it's always been super important to me that whatever I put out, like the majority of it at least, also works if it's just me in a podcast studio in Broad Ripple, because like if I can only present the art in one particular idiom, then like does it have integrity? Like is it good on its own? Can it stand up on its own legs? And it doesn't always have to. Fuck the absolutes of that sort of. But as a person who wants to work hard and long, the versatility that I am able to cultivate between performing the same song with a psychedelic progressive rock band or by myself with an acoustic, it's always been really important that like the song has enough meat on its own. So we were playing psychotropic songs and we're like, damn, these songs bang. Like, these are good songs.
Sure.
And because we meant to tour that album much more, but we're cut short by the world's
COVID.
circumstances, we're like,
Yeah.
not enough people know these songs. We should promote these songs more. So we threw together the Psychotropic acoustic EP, which is just 4 of those tunes. Arrowheads Are Worse, which is out now. Spirit of the Trailer Park, which is coming out in 2 weeks. And then the rest of the songs will be out like a week after that. Black Lash Water and Mandala in Reverse. All reimagined with no electric, no effects, no tuning. It's all just roots, organic, like cellos and mandolins and banjos. And the type of stuff we used to do applied to the new, more like, psychedelic type stuff to sort of strip it back down and show that the songs are good underneath all that stuff.
No, absolutely. The one thing that I noticed about it, and that I noticed about Psychotropic, is that there's kind of and forgive me for trying to compare you to other people.
No, do it.
But there was kind of a Jim James, excuse me.
Fucking yikes, bro.
I know, right? Right? Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Drink JP Kool-Aid.
No, Jim James and
Jim James.
and some My Morning Jacket
It's okay.
esque.
I've heard that more than any other comparison.
Really?
Any other artist over 10 years. And I have listened to My Morning Jacket, but I don't make a habit of it. I'm not against him.
No, sure.
It's just funny because, like, there must be something there. I've heard it consistently. I never set out to mimic him. I set out to mimic Bon Iver.
Oh, well, no. See, that's the thing is, so I was listening to it, again this past weekend. I was driving up to Fort Wayne, and I was like, let's do some homework.
Love that. Thanks for
And
doing your research. That's great.
you're welcome. And let's listen to some music. So, I cranked Psychotropic.
Cool.
And, but I was like, My Morning Jacket came to mind, but I was also thinking, I was like, there's more to that than this. Than just that.
Sure.
There are, and so I don't want to offend by just saying My
I'm
Morning
not
Jacket.
offended. Everything sounds like something else, man.
Well, that's true. Nothing new under the sun.
Nope.
But still, there was some uniqueness to it that was definitely you. And I mean, that's what we all strive for, right?
Yes.
Is we know that we're going to create something that other people might say, oh, hey, that sounds like.
I can only tell you my version of it, man. You know,
Sure.
like I'm only putting together other stuff that I like.
Yeah, no.
So the older I get, the more I'm like, hey, just like unadulterate that filter, man. Throw everything that you like into and if you do that and you're really honest about that, instead of trying to do what you want other people to do, that's how you find your voice.
Exactly.
And mine got weirder and weirder the older I went. It made me happier to just like throw everything in and stop filtering things out. So.
Well, I have to say that of your albums, I do enjoy Skeleton Party
Right on.
so much.
Good, I'm glad.
So much.
It's
And
fun.
in fact, I think I saw you post this on, maybe it was Instagram, maybe it was Facebook. I honestly can't remember.
Sure.
But I think someone had told you that it sounded like this is what indie metal would sound like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can totally hear that.
Honestly,
I hadn't thought about that, but I can totally hear it.
I love genre as a game. I just love like coming up with how do we talk about the music that we like, and being friends with people who like music and how we label music. It's just fun. It's all arbitrary. It's all made
really
up,
is.
but it's
Yeah.
fun,
No, it
right?
is. Yeah.
Like I love being like, oh yeah, Purity Ring. That's like a witch house band. It's like, what the fuck is witch house? What does that mean about music? But like
Right.
it's accepted, and so I found out about Nightcore the other night. I was like, yeah, feed me. I want all these dumb names. I want to be able to label every song I ever heard, because it's fun. Yeah, man, Skeleton Party transitioning into the album that we're working on right now, which is Skeleton Party way heavier.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like like industrial elements, breakdowns, screaming, sludge, thrash.
Dude, you are stoking the fires here. I am already looking forward to this so much.
Well, you and like 5 other people. Because I was just having this conversation with a buddy, last night. He was asking me like, "Hey, have you tried booking more shows with like metal bands?" And I was like, "Dude, we have played a couple shows in the last year, particularly through Black Circle, which I love, and through the Dome, which is so important. Man, I don't think like metalheads will like what I'm doing, and
probably not,
dude, because that genre is so cult, and I respect that so much. But like at the end of the day, I'm always going to be doing melodic shit. I love Post Malone. I love Taylor Swift. I want my choruses to be so hooky, and then I want to scream. And so the fact that like metalheads aren't probably going to fuck with what we're doing because it's not so heavy. And then I know that like the people who love our folk aren't going to be like, yes, a 7/8 breakdown. I think the people who are into rock are like, yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I like that breakdown and stuff. It's like we're somewhere in this like vague like. Maybe not psych enough for psych people, maybe not rock enough for rock people. I just don't know, but I'm trying to stop worrying about it and just make the records.
But I like that about what you're doing. I like that I can listen to the Great Train Robbery stuff.
Yeah.
And fast forward to Skeleton Party.
Yeah.
Or even Psychotropic and be like, this is the same guy, but it's different stuff, and I'm still digging it.
Thank you so much, man. That's like how my favorite artists exist. Like you look at Neil Young's catalog, and he's done something in like every genre. And you look at the 4 Bon Iver LPs, and they're all like so completely different from one another. And I could go on and on about the artists that like just follow their artistic impulses and stay fluid. I'm trying to stay fluid.
Now, that's important to stay fluid, and because that means you're growing as an artist.
I hope so.
And you don't want to be stuck in a rut of making the same album all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so there can be...
Unless I find the formula that pays, and then I'm
Well,
rut.
we got to sell out at some point, right?
as soon as possible. Man.
No, but I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, I can appreciate AC/DC for what they are, but AC/DC's first album sounds exactly like their most recent album.
Oh yeah, and they do that thing better than anybody.
They do. So no
Yeah.
no shade thrown at AC/DC's way,
Yeah.
but you know what you're going to get.
100%.
But the thing that I appreciate about artists, like, so for instance, two of my favorite bands
Mm-hmm.
are Rush and REM.
Cool.
Probably bands that you wouldn't necessarily put together,
don't really
even as
know.
fans.
I don't really know anything about REM, but
Oh, you don't?
I like Rush a lot, though.
Okay, well, so Rush, as you know, like, you could take their 70s stuff, their 80s stuff, their 90s stuff, and into the 2000s, and they can sound like three different bands.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, heck, you can divide the 80s in half, and they sound like two different bands.
Yeah. They
Um,
had a lot of range.
they did, but
I was just teaching Rivendell in my songwriting class last week.
wow, talk about a deep cut.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about adaptations. And
Uh-huh.
so I was looking for just like reaching through the genres to try to be like, who's telling other stories that are based on exterior source texts and stuff. And Rush was like super into like,
Oh.
all the Pert lyrics are like taking fantasy stuff and hot, medieval
Yes.
stuff. And so
Yes.
like they had like 15 songs I could have used, but I threw that one
but
in
of
there.
all the songs you chose, Rivendell. That's hilarious.
My
to
two
me.
students who picked it off the list to study it, after we listened to it, I was like, so did you pick that because you're an LOTR fan? They're like, what's that? And I was like, what are you talking? You just A, how do you not know what Lord of the Rings is? But B, like, how you just were like, yeah, Rivendell, that sounds cool. Is it Spanish? Like,
Oh man, that's fantastic. I love it. I love that you have students who are willing to take that chance, even though they know nothing about what
oh
they're
yeah,
getting
man, they're
into.
cool. They're cool, man. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard to like mess up when you have songwriting students. They're there on purpose.
Sure,
so.
sure. But I mean, to get back to that
Yes.
that aspect of, you have an artist or a band, and in your case, in their case, who can truly genre bend
Yeah.
in so many cases. And sure, they may lose some people along the way,
Right.
but the core fans, the core people,
Yeah.
and they always had their core.
Mhm.
REM suddenly changed their sound when Bill Berry, their drummer, left. So, and he left for health reasons. And it kind of went against the fact that they continued on. Kind of went against one thing that they had said earlier, which is like when one member of the band leaves, the entire
Yeah.
band breaks up.
Yeah.
And they spent 3 albums really trying to find their way after their drummer left. And so they probably alienated some fans, but the fact is that their sound morphed from the early 80s when
Yeah.
it was kind of post-punk. And it would probably be classified, post-punk new wave kind of stuff,
Okay.
but not quite. I wouldn't have necessarily said new wave.
I've heard it called college rock.
It is
before.
definitely college rock,
Okay.
yes. But I mean, it's like, what do people know what college rock even means these days?
I mean, that was like a very 90s thing to call music.
Yes, it was.
So,
Yes, it was. So, but they changed their sound from like their first album to, which was on IRS Records, to you listen to Green, which was their first major label with Warner Brothers, to Automatic for the People, which had oh, now I'm blanking on the songs, but Drive and Nobody, Everybody Hurts, and tell me you've heard Everybody
Everybody
Hurts.
Hurts is REM.
Yeah, that's REM.
Okay, I read a
Losing
book.
My Religion.
Yeah, I know that song, of course. Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
of course. There's
So-
a book called Everybody Hurts about emo subculture. And
I
I read the book in high school. I was like, this is great. And then I heard the song, and I was like, oh.
Oh, okay, yeah. but their sound changed, and but it's like I felt like I was also kind of changing with them.
Yes, dude, 100%. This is a silly example, but Reliant K, the Christian pop punk
Oh, I know
band,
about them. Yeah.
dude, when I was like 14 years old and just sat down at a drum kit, that was like the first punk record that a kid at youth group burned for me. It was super silly, fast songs. But by the time I was in college, they were doing like muted piano rock. And every record had something that was like, oh, Newfound Glory kind of did the same thing, man. All my references are like pop punk and emo.
That's okay.
But,
Bring it on, please. Bring it.
Some of those bands, even like Paramore, man. Like you look at the way that Paramore started off as being like super just emo pop punk, doing that like post-hardcore thing, and then they grew into more of a mainstream pop sound, and they did that to great success. And they're back years later, and you would think that they would try to capitalize on that, especially after Hayley Williams had diverted and done her more like singer-songwriter informed stuff. But you can tell they're really just doing what the fuck they want to do.
Yeah.
Because their new stuff is like French phrases over post-punk, like television style, choppy, block party,
Nice.
jagged grooves. It's like, what? I don't know. This doesn't feel like arena music, but it's gonna be because you're good enough to sell it.
Yeah.
And you have conviction about it, and that
Yeah.
goes a long way.
Well, I think it is that conviction to be behind what you are doing, what you have chosen to do as an artist, and to genre bend.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I actually enjoy it when artists take that opportunity
Yeah.
to get out of the cycle that they've been known for
Yeah.
and take a chance.
100%.
I
Yeah.
mean, it just seems so. I mean, you rattled off a number of bands who have done that, but I feel like that so many artists these days, they're scared to, because music is in a place these days where we're not sure what people like. Like, I mean, and maybe this is just me. And maybe it's because I'm in my 40s and I'm not entirely sure what I like. But that's why I actually find myself listening to local music far more than I do
Cool.
listening to national music, because even though I'm listening to so many different genres locally,
Yeah. We
it
have them.
it speaks to me more than what I would be listening to if it was on a major label,
Rad.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Very punk of you, Josh.
I know. I definitely looked the part, right?
I walked in, I was like gutter crust punk for days in here. It's like, smells like spilled hams in here. I think I just stepped on a stray stud.
Yeah, I definitely give that vibe.
Yeah.
No, but it's kind of weird how that's transpired for me, because I feel like, there's just so much out there.
Oh, yeah.
That
like everything.
Yeah. That's why I say it's hard to find out what people really like. I mean, outside of what labels are shoving down people's throats,
Yeah.
and what the algorithm will play for you.
Right.
But there is just so much at your fingertips
Mm-hmm.
that it's really hard to identify what it is that you can relate to, if that makes sense. So, like, I can say that the last time that I felt strongly about relating to an album.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I know albums aren't a thing these days.
Oh, I'm
I mean,
obsessed with them, but-
I believe they are.
Yeah.
But I'm old. And it's a single society. That's kind of where we are. Everybody wants
for
singles,
sure,
but
for sure, for sure.
but I'm big on the album. And the last time an album like really grabbed me,
Mhm.
I was 23.
What?
Yeah, I mean, and since that time, I mean,
Do you smoke weed, dude?
No. This may be why. I'm a father of 5. I don't have time for that. But like, you listen to, I love the Arcade Fire stuff.
Yeah.
I listen to, and when I think about the mid-aughts, it was like, for me, it was the Black Keys,
Okay.
Arcade Fire.
Okay.
And honestly, that was probably it.
It was like a new generation of college rock.
Yeah. I mean,
That
that's
was
what
like
I was,
the apex of like hipster culture.
probably, yeah.
Which is it's not nothing to be ashamed of. I was in that shit. I was deeply involved in. I wore the flannel and didn't have a fucking mustache, but our first year of shows, we all wore vintage formal wear, and I played banjo. It was very stomp clap. It's part of the zeitgeist, man. Like,
Was
you're
part of the
living in
zeitgeist.
culture. It's okay
Yeah.
to like what's happening in culture, even if it is Arcade Fire. Fuck. But that blows my mind. That's been 20 years since you feel like you related to a new album.
Do you want to know
dude.
what album that was?
Yes, please, desperately.
A Rush of Blood to the Head by Coldplay.
Whoa, that is not what I expected.
No, that was I was 23, 24, and that was the last album. The song In My Place just hit. Those first few strums of that song just like was a knife to the heart to
Wow.
me.
Man.
And that entire album just resonated with me, stuck with me. And that's the last one that I ever felt like that.
Wow.
And I mean, I've purchased a ton of albums.
Yeah.
I've listened to a ton of music. But there hasn't been that like, oh man, this is just wrapped my heart in barbed wire and just taken hold of me. You know.
It's interesting, man. I feel like you might be projecting a little bit on the thing that you said before that about figuring out what people like, or like it's hard to figure out what people like.
Probably am projecting.
Because I feel almost the opposite. I feel
Really?
that I feel like everyone likes something. I mean, like whatever you put
Well,
out
I
there.
like something.
No, but like there's an audience for everything.
Sure.
Like the more online I am,
Mm-hmm.
which is increasingly, weirdly, like the older I'm getting, the more like I'm like obsessed with TikTok and stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But being on there, it's like just seeing, such an insane breadth of experiences and stuff that people are relating to, and I'm learning about new, weird forms of art and trends and culture and stuff. And I'm like, dude, that's so bizarre that like one of the most ascendant genres of music right now is trap metal. I'm like, trap metal?
I want to hear it.
I did too, and it's not for me yet. Hopefully, I will learn to establish like new terms on which to hear it and be able to appreciate what's there. And I like the Ghost Main feature on the Under Oath record, but when you hear that stuff, some of it's like so abrasive and so just like counter to whatever your intuition informs you is gonna like be art that you connect with. But dude, there's people out there that are connecting with it all the time, like whatever it is. Like Wesley Willis, dude. Like, are you hip to any of the outsider music, like Daniel Johnston and like the Shags and stuff like that?
I know of them.
Dude.
I haven't spent a whole lot of time listening to
Huge.
it. And I know Daniel Johnston passed away here within
Yeah.
the last few years.
Great loss, man. He was a saint. He's an angel. He's a troubled man, but like some of that music is just so out there, dude. But like, so are people.
No, exactly.
You know?
I like music that actually can take people into a place where that is difficult to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Have you listened to Death Grips?
I haven't. No.
So proud because like people will try to shit on this or whatever. I'm my philosophy is that the more stuff that I can like, the happier I'm gonna be in this life. So like if I used to define my personality by like, oh, that's mainstream. Coldplay, fuck Coldplay. If you're Coldplay, like, go to Starbucks, you know. And and I'm still working. I'm still trying to learn to like Coldplay because I don't.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. One, I love their first two albums.
Yeah.
And their third album is kind of hit and miss with me. I love their fourth. Everything after that is trash.
But you know, I bet that if you spent some time with number 5 and you tried to like it, that
I
you
own
could.
number 5, and I've tried to like it. There might be a couple tracks, and it's very poppy.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that I would play when my kids would be in the car.
Yeah.
You know, when they were younger. But you know, now I'm not going out of my way to listen to
Totally.
Coldplay's fifth or subsequent albums.
I think it's really fun to find music that is challenging that you think you don't like, or that especially if you find yourself casting some sort of a moral judgment about it. Like people talk so disparagingly about pop country and about black metal and stuff that means an ICP. That's not for me at all. But like, it's such an important thing to so many other people, and it's like, dude, try to see the merit in it. Like, look for the value there. You know, try to understand what those people find in it, and then you'll learn to appreciate it in some level. I'm just like, I'm all for just trying to be like, yo, I don't like that yet, so that's on me. I'm gonna figure out something to dig about it, and it'll make the world a little brighter. So,
Now, I dig it. Well, speaking of music that we dig Joshua Powell's music. So we're about to play a couple of tracks of yours that you previously recorded for us. Tell us a little bit about the tracks that we're about to listen to.
so happily, I was excited to be on the show because we have so much new stuff to promote, and it was like, I can tailor it all to around this, you know.
And I'm sorry we just touched the surface.
It's fine. It's whatever. That's
After the songs, we are going to talk about everything.
Rabbit trails are groovy. Rabbits are awesome. So the first song is Bliss is a Flak Jacket. It is a single off of Psychotropic. Bliss is a Flak Jacket is a phrase I lifted from the book Catching the Big Fish by David Lynch. It's his treatise on creativity and transcendental meditation.
Wow.
And he's a huge influence on my art philosophy. And that's like a very like Buddhist concept about just like if you have an inner peace of the the inner light of the higher mind, then like the circumstances of the world, you cannot be bothered. You know, like the karma games you are unlocked from playing, and you know, it's about inevitably like getting to the point where you don't experience suffering anymore, right? It's like so. That song is kind of about that, but that's kind of like a big thing to like rap. So there's a bunch of allusions in it just about what I was going through at the time and relationships that I had, and a big mushroom trip that me and my buddy took on the sound of in Olympia, Washington, at Puget Sound.
Oh, wow.
Just down lying on the rocks with a folk singing friend of ours outside of this like college in the woods, just spending the day looking at a rock and having the most profound experience of my life. And then just sort of like taking some of how do we talk about this experience and using art as the vessel there to try to like work out some of what was learned and some of what was experienced. That's a very cosmic song. So it's fun to try to like strip it down and do it on acoustic after all these years. And then I also have the song Furiosa, which this is the first time I've ever performed it for a recording or anything like that.
No way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate that. That is incredibly generous of you. I appreciate. Thank you.
Well, I was happy to have a context and excuse to put it out there in some other fashion. So some years back, I went to Gaslight. It's a funny name. Gaslight Studios in St. Louis. No, you didn't go there. I swear I did. Yeah, friends with a couple bands from St. Louis, like the Manis Brothers and Brother Lee and the Leather Jackals, and so a bunch of those dudes are tied in with that studio. Most of my work in my life up to that point I had done at Varsity Recording Company in Anderson, Indiana with Jonathan Class. But I was like, hey, I can go out and just like cut a couple tracks and, you know, get some studio experience. And those were 5 or 6 songs that I had written in the same cycle that I wrote Psychotropic, but they didn't make the cut for the Psychotropic LP. So
Gotcha.
Songs from the same era, same sort of spiritual information. But I was like, a couple of them are bangers, so I was like, let's put them somewhere, you know? So I made this little EP and didn't have a plan for it until I had a really severe, like, life-threatening car accident.
Oh my!
Coming home from a show in Kentucky where I hit a guardrail and my car spun out and smashed all 3 panels that weren't the driver door. I was by myself. It's like 3 a.m, harrowing as fuck. And so that was our tour van. So we did a Kickstarter, and people just came out of the woodwork to bless us with love and kindness. And our homie at Romanus is a car-savvy fella, and he went to auction and got us the dopest touring van ever. It's like a reformed airport shuttle from Holiday Inn Express.
Nice.
It's cool, man. But I borrowed a tape machine from my cousin's church, and I duplicated like 100, 200 tapes one night, just like by myself, just doing 3 at a time. It's amazingly hard to get J cards printed in 2022 for tapes.
Yes. Which is funny because they're coming back.
They are, but yeah, I thought it would be like easy and lo-fi to do tapes for everybody, and then it proved to take me like 3 years of looking for equipment. And,
wow.
You know, but got those out to backers, hopefully everybody. And I did that. People liked it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Those tapes are for those folks, but I'll put the songs out for everyone to hear. So I did that a few months ago, and weirdly, that song Furiosa I just played, which is just me and a guitar on the recording, so sparse. That song shot up to our top 5 songs like in like a week or two's time. Like,
that's awesome.
It hit some release playlists or something, and people were just like streamed it up. So I was like, oh wow, this song that I wrote like 5 years ago lifted the title from the Mad Max Fury Road movie. And it was like really hitting. Yeah, people are really loving it. So I was like, okay, well, let's throw that one out there because we just had Astral Sister, that EP printed out as a limited run of 100 CDs. So promoting that too. Please buy the CD.
Absolutely. They're signed.
Signed, hand numbered.
This is a big deal, people. And this is just the beginning of the stuff that Joshua has. I mean, so, well, let's get to these songs, and then we're going to talk about your releases. Coming up next.
Cool.
So we're going to be listening to a couple tracks from Joshua Powell. We'll be right back after that.
This is Bliss is a Flack Jacket.
almost though you missed all other spiritual conduits. As I'm hacking at a novel somewhere, trying to comb the sparrows out of my hair, thinking back about the time you read my poem. God, I hope you did it wrong. Bliss, well, bliss is a flak jacket, and guilt is the shrapnel coat rack that I've since sought to expel. But I fear it's clear I'm not a shaman, so I'll keep my cosmic revelations to myself. I watched a revolution choke and sputter, saw depression try to kill my brother. I heard Leviathan was living in a lake up near the border states. Back off the back porch, there was a demon in the bonfire we made. So we formed an assembly line, 2 cart back buckets, sweet summoned from the lake. And even when all of the kindling had flattened, we were never certain anything happened besides the vestiges of smoke getting in my shirt and smelling of the earth. It's a Dale Cooper thumbs up. Fuck, that felt great. This is Furiosa off of the Astral Sister EP.
This week? Yeah, it was because I was late one day by 2 minutes.
What's with this whitewashed witchcraft? The constellations seem to sight. I'm sure you have more clarity than me. I'm a hawk caught in a drone strike. I am the vagrant by the preacher on his corner, ceremoniously stripped of all my guns,
I don't take food upstairs.
with my hands out for the medicine I need
My recommendation to you
to sleep everywhere at once.
He's gonna want to spray around the bathrooms. If you could just get your laundry out.
I'm a hunter,
Do a
baby.
little laundry.
Thought you'd better know. I'm camouflaged completely in the Indiana snow. I experiment with metamorphoses, babbling a Pentecostal prayer, remembering the sandalwood and cardamom, the oils in your hair. You know noticed in my beard the first graying there, as I noticed I was older in a flash. And you're a voyeur, but I'm very accommodating when you look at me like that. I'm a hunter, baby. Thought you'd better know. There's a grizzly in my heart and an arrow in my bow. There is no one knowing what I know. Seasons and so zero in and hunter, baby. Thought you'd better know. I'm discrediting John Muir and I'm discrediting Thoreau. I'm a hunter, baby. Thought you'd better know. I can see you in the dark. Your eyes glow.
And welcome back. We're here with Joshua Powell. You just heard Bliss is a Flak Jacket and Furiosa from Psychotropic and from the Astral Sister EP.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And just talking about some of the things that he has coming out, all surrounding actually Astral Sister and Psychotropic. I always want to say Psychotropic.
I think that the word is pronounced psychotropic, like the dictionary word is, but it's a pun. Our album title is a
there's
pun.
a slash through it.
Yeah,
so.
because I'm from Florida.
Okay.
So
That makes a lot
tropic,
more sense.
psychotropic. It's meant to be like, yes, it's psychedelic. It can influence the way that you think if you give yourself over to the saturation of the record, but also like
Yes.
everyone from Florida thinks I'm crazy now. So
Well, it's because you're living in Indiana. That's probably the reason.
if I had a nickel for every time.
I mean, I'm from here. I
Yeah.
love this state to
Yeah.
the death with even all of its faults.
I'm not from here and I love it to death.
But, well,
I moved here on purpose. I
I'm
think
grateful.
I think it's awesome.
So you have the Astral Sister EP on CD that you've pressed a CD, signed, limited
Yes,
run.
there's 98 units left. They're
yeah.
signed and they're numbered. Working for the labels taught me a lot about collectors and how to make releases special and meaningful and not just cranking out the shittiest version, the most which is why that bundle that we were talking about off camera is complicated. But there's a bunch of cool moving parts to it,
Well, so let's talk about the bundle now then.
Yeah,
because the bundle, I mean, it's pretty fascinating. Everything that you got going on here. So tell me about it. What's there's some meaning behind it.
Yeah.
It's
actually
go.
it's a cute story, bro. So Chris Banta at Romanus Records has become a dear friend of our band's and mine. But I pitched him Psychotropic in like 2019. I pitched it to 100 labels, and I got 3 messages back, and they were like no, and probably not. And Chris he's like, yeah, this is like really good. It's just like not really like for me, and also like I don't think that the people that are following our label would really mess with it heavily. I was like, that's cool, man. I don't want to like not sell units. I don't want to like just sign. I want to like be with somebody that has a mutualistic vision for growth and reaching new people. So, fast forward a couple years, we're demoing out Skeleton Party, and Adam, our guitar player, was begun working for the label part time. and he like leaked some of those demos to Chris, and I was like, no. And then Chris is like, actually, yes, like get on the label now with this rock shit. And I was like, oh, okay.
So you are selling out now. So that is the point.
I was headed that way, but he really liked the first 2 songs, and he said, can you give me more of these songs? And I was like, well, I was planning on making them anyway. But it was cool because then, Skeleton Party release with them was great. I was really proud of that physical product that came out with the music, and people on the road seem to dig it for the most part. So we are working on a new album cycle behind the scenes, but Chris came around on Psychotropic after being friends with us and like giving it another chance. Years later, he's like, man, this album's actually really good too. And I was like, I know, I made it. Like I told you it was good back then. And so he, because he has the label apparatus at his service, he's like, let's do it's like a repress, but we never pressed it in the first place because we just didn't have the money when we put that record out. And so it's never been available, even though Alyosha had been made available at a certain time from Train Robbery and then Skeleton Party. There was the missing middle, Psychotropic, and so we wanted to release it, but Romanus is a young label too, and they've never done a release that was like a, not something new for a band, right? And we're like young to the label roster too. We're still getting to know the fans of the label, But, Chris is always innovating. Romanus Records makes the coolest vinyl anywhere, like just the craziest stuff, blood-filled records, sand-filled records, whatever. So he was just helping us dream up ways to make it more interesting and make it exciting for people. And so we re-recorded those Psychotropic songs, stripped down acoustic, made that into a CD. There is a Romanus version of that CD that's also hand-numbered, signed, 100 units only, with art by Martin Donders, who did the original art. He's done art for Sturgill Simpson and Godspeed You Black Emperor. And
no, I dig the art that you guys have on that album.
Thanks. I have some of his work tattooed on my whole upper arm. Very cool. So there's the CD that comes out with the wax. The wax is purple, which matches the color of the on the front. And then the lathe cut 7-inch of Bliss is a flak jacket. We did a lathe cut 7-inch for Spirit of the Trailer Park, which is dope because it's a little 7, but it was a square. And you can cut lathes that way. They still work and they're neat. And weirdly, the quality is not that good. It's kind of more of just like because that's how they used to make records back before they had presses and whatnot.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. That's how like the first record, the day in history where the first time that Bach's Cello Suite was recorded for the first time in Europe was the same day in history that Robert Johnson cut the first record in the Delta South.
No way.
It's like why songs became 3 minutes long is because there was only that much space on a 7-inch.
Yes.
The blues songs used to go way further.
Oh, sure.
But he made blues songs standard 3 minutes because that's what they could cut on the record. And so lathe cuts are still made that same way. They sound like shit, but they're really cool. And if you love a band, be like, yeah, there's only and we only have 25 lathe cut 7 inches of Bliss, and they're filled with actual Winchester shotgun spent shells. Because that song is about a spiritual flak jacket. So
the deep meaning behind that.
I strive for it.
No, I think that's very clever.
Thanks,
I mean, one, again, my mind is still trying to wrap itself around, vinyl filled records. Just filled records.
Yeah.
And you were explaining how that, it's pretty obvious how they still work and they sound fine.
Oh yeah.
But to think that you can put anything like shotgun shells or sand or
we did a shark tooth filled record for Frankie Sunswept. We did a tobacco filled record recently. I'm trying to think. There's been some pixie stick filled. Some weird
This is
stuff.
creative.
It's fun, man. It's art.
That honestly takes vinyl to a whole nother level in terms of art.
Look, I know it's my own label, so I'm just bragging about my own house, but I've never seen anybody do stuff like Romanus does stuff. So.
And are they local indie?
They're
based?
Franklin, bro.
Franklin?
Yeah.
No way.
Oh, here's one. They made a guitar pedal record, dude. A record you can play, but the middle of it has chip in it, so if you stop the record, you can plug your guitar into the side of it and out the other side, and it's a fuzz pedal.
No way.
Working fuzz pedal, playing record. Definitely, it's a novelty piece, but
Sure.
both things work, dude. And it's like,
That's incredible.
no one's ever done that before. That got him written up in Guitar World and classic rock, and I mean, some of the best press we've ever had. But yeah, cool stuff.
That is incredible. And I had
Indiana strong, baby.
right.
That's strong working, blue collar Hoosiers making it work, man.
That
a
is-
state that works.
It was way to bring it home. I mean, literally, it's on the side of the government buildings.
Yeah.
Oh, you love to see it. So, what was the whole reason behind wanting to do this? I mean, was it because that you had kind of rediscovered the songs on Psychotropic, or was it because the label finally was like, "Hey, this is actually a great album. We should do something with this."
It was all those things together, man. It was
Okay.
like we were exploring the songs again on our own, just like jamming, just having fun. And then he was saying, "Oh, maybe we could put this out." And so we thought, "Oh, if we did this and it could partner with that, as we had rediscovered those songs after our album cycle of Skeleton Party, and gone, oh, there's more juice to be wrung out of these. How can we make it new for people and keep things excited? And instead of just going to Twitter and Instagram and Facebook every day and just being like, have you listened to Psychotropic yet? I know it's 3 years old, but you should really give it a try."
There's some people who are actually doing that with some of their stuff, and it's working.
Oh, it's true, and you should, my brother taught me, you should be posting old stuff. You should be recycling content. I think about that all the time because I wrote songs, 10 years ago that are really good that people still haven't heard, and I'm always, because I'm the songwriter at the beginning, like I'm mostly thinking about the art. I'm like 2 albums ahead in my brain. I'm already way excited about the next shit that I want to make. Wow. And I have to be corralled by more rational beings like my brother who goes, "No, man, you got to be better at sales. Go sell the songs that you already wrote because people don't know them enough yet." And he's right. So that's why we're doing all this.
So when you go on tour, do you play like is a concert, a Joshua Powell concert, like just so genre bending that it like?
Actually, usually when we tour, we just play one song of ours at the top and then Red Hot Chili Pepper covers for the rest of the time.
Oh, excellent. I mean, I'd love to hear some of those bass licks going,
Our bass player could do it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's also not a favorite band of mine. No, I'll tell you the truth. Concerts are not that genre bending because when I play with my band and there's people in the room, I want to play fucking rock. I'm not interested in doing the more orchestrated, deep songs. I used to try it, man. I used to try all the time to play Bon Iver-style folk rock indie songs and try to captivate an audience with it. They're beautiful songs. They grow, they develop, they bloom. But, no one knows me well enough to care about those yet. And so there's an element still where anytime I'm in a room, it's like my job is to win people over, man. They're probably not here to see me. Maybe they are. That'd be nice. But, if I can be really, really good, then they can walk out having bought a record and becoming a fan, whatever. And so, yeah, man, the more we play, the more we're like, which songs absolutely bang? We want bangers top to bottom, no slow songs. We're going to give you 45 minutes of high kicks running around. I'm going to throw my guitar around. It's like, we're going to have to do stretches beforehand, and I'll be sore tomorrow. But it's going to be like, with the band for the last 2 years and for the foreseeable future, we are all exercising so that we can handle the physical requirements of the show that we want to do.
That's incredible.
Slipknot's one of my favorite bands,
Okay.
and I want to do that. I don't want to be Slipknot, but I want my show to be,
That exciting.
Yes.
That engaging.
I only became a fan of them 2 years, and I've seen them 2 times since then. Because once you see it and once it clicks for you and you get it, you're like, oh my god, how is this happening?
Yeah.
It's so much more intense than, And I was like, that's how do we use that to inform and like we were talking about earlier, how do we do that? What's that look like for us? Because it doesn't look like wearing clown masks and hitting beer kegs for us.
Yeah.
But what's the Joshua Powell beer keg that we want to hit with the baseball bat?
Yeah.
And then also I tour solo, and then I do that thing that I did in here, and that's nice too because I'm a storyteller and I got a couple jokes and I like to strip down the songs and
Thank you.
Played a lot of So Far shows on tour this last year, which just meant a captive audience. I had 25 minutes to do 4 songs and just try to say here's who I am in 25 minutes. I've got just all the most emotional songs I've got. I'm going to try to pierce you to the heart really quick and get you to follow me online. But that duality makes it so that I don't have to take all my acoustic instruments to an electric show. I don't have to bring, you know.
Yeah.
We kind of have two separate streamlined products that we're doing right now.
Have you ever considered like just taking some of your older stuff and making it rock?
Yeah. I think we do that a little bit right now. We play some psychotropic songs in the set right now that are definitely way more
in your face than they are on the album.
Well, that's how we got to Skeleton Party, because we did psychotropic, and I was such a sensitive indie rock reverb boy. And I lived with Adam Shuntich for like 7 years, and he's AC/DC as a person. And so performing with him helped reignite in me my love for the frenetic, energetic performance that I experienced in my hardcore punk youth, of like metal shows and stuff. So we were doing Psychotropic at about Skeleton Party volume live.
Wow.
And people would dig the show immensely and then buy the record, and then I would get Facebook messages like, "You guys are so amazing live. The record is good, don't get me wrong, but like live you guys rocked. Live you rocked." And it's like, okay, cool, thanks, man. Like the record's good. But when we started the next song cycle, we're like, what if we just started there? What if we just started at rock and didn't try to like turn it up later? We just write rock songs, and then maybe we'll turn those up more. And then weirdly, like that's what happened. That's why we're writing a metalcore album, but it's not a metalcore album. It's rock. But you know,
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So
yeah. But then, what do you do when you are doing the individual shows where you're going solo? Have you ever taken a Skeleton Party song and just like stripped it down?
that's all I did this last year, man. I played Cannabis Rex and Skeleton Party and Nine of Swords and stuff on solo tour all through November.
No way.
Because I was still mostly promoting the Skeleton Party album cycle. And so those were my default. I was going to come here tonight and play Skeleton Party because I've got to rip an acoustic version of it. But then I was like, yeah, there's a lot of videos of that already, and there's no videos of Flack Jacket. So,
and again, thank you. I mean, not because I think that I'm anything special. I just thank you for thinking of that, like as an artist, like what
Well, that's nice. You told me
and
about China
really
left.
giving the viewer, the consumer, the people who are watching this. You
know about this. I'm
that
talking about
right
it. It
now
tells me how
there's
much time I have left.
and the people out there.
And thank
But,
you for doing this.
But giving us the opportunity to hear like different layers of Joshua Powell. So
cheers to that.
yeah,
I'm a whole person.
you are a whole person altogether. Anyway, so man, this has been such a great conversation. I have really
Thanks, man.
enjoyed talking with you.
Likewise.
And so before I get to my final promo, which is for the engine room here, where we do this wonderful show. Yes, exactly. Where we do voices of Indy. Is there anything that we've missed? Like, is there anything that you want to promote, to mention that maybe we have glossed over accidentally?
I don't think so, man. I usually have a couple irons in the fire, but we're at a phase right now where the Psychotropic reissue is what we're pushing. We don't have any tours announced or anything right now because we are trying to finish the new album, and it takes if we're performing as much as I want to perform them, we won't have the energy, the moxie to get the songs written and recorded, because the songs that we're writing and recording are very hard. We are having to practice a lot to get good enough to play them, because we have the ideas and then we're like, yeah, but can you play it? Not yet. So that's what we're working on now. Please buy the record, CD, lathe cut, stream Astral Sisters, stream it all. That's what I want to promote.
Absolutely, and everything that Joshua is talking about is available to stream online. And by the time this show airs, which is going to be Monday, it'll be Monday the 13th.
This stuff goes on sale on Saturday, so there will be vinyl left for sure, and probably maybe some CDs, but. Those
you have some
cuts,
hardcore fans for the lathe cuts.
Yeah, dude, people love them. People love them. And this one is, the bullet one, like I said, it's never been done, so I hope I get one.
Yeah. Well, all I got to do is pay the money. You know how much it costs. All right, so the Engine Room Recording Company. Here we go. They are located in Broad Ripple Village, just north of downtown Indianapolis, and they specialize in making your projects go. Podcasters, bands, audio bookers, rappers, singers, songwriters, and everyone in between, the Engine Room Recording Company has the engineers, the equipment, and the environment to fuel your projects. And I can say this as a personal customer, not just for Voices of Indy, but I am recording my second album here at the Engine Company. Check out Broad Ripple's recording studio by visiting for more information on their services, artists they've recorded, and gear they have at engineroomrecordingcompany.com. And be sure to visit their Instagram page by searching up at Engine Room Recording Company. Joshua Powell, man, you are just a pleasure to talk to.
Likewise, Josh. Thanks so much.
And thank you. We didn't actually even get to that story that you were talking to when you first arrived.
Yeah. Have to do it again
We
sometime.
will have to do this again sometime because that was an outrageous story. For everyone who has been watching this, again, thank you for being here.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on.
Where can they find you online real quick?
At Joshua Powell Music on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, or joshuapowellmusic.com.
Excellent. Well, that's going to do it for us, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be here again next week where my guest will be Reckless Rhymicide. We'll see you soon.